Well, okay, amazing. We are live, and we're gonna talk today about weekly meetings or how not to die on the attempt of having a lot of meetings all the time and manage them to be efficient. I'm sure, like through all the different like webinars and through this year of you guys being experienced as a VP, you had the opportunity of being in a lot of meetings, and I'm sure some of them were more effective than others, and I'm sure also that you already have like some idea of how a meeting should go. So that's why I would like to start first of all, like for you to contribute to thank not as an LTP but as a team member during this year. Um, how were your team meetings? How you live them? How useful or not useful were they? And you can unmute the mic.
As a member or as a VP?
Doesn't matter. As a part of a team where you weren't the responsible of the meeting.
Okay. Um, at the beginning, they were quite weird. I'm so sorry for the noise. But at the beginning, yeah, they were quite weird because I had just been given a team to take care of, so I did not know. I did not really realize that I was the boss of the convo, and that I had to give the principal guidelines, and that I had to like, yeah, to to move to another subject, be like, okay, what did you do? Okay, what did you do? Okay, then on to another subject. Okay, feedback. Okay, do you have a question? Okay, let's do this. So at the beginning, it was really slow, and nobody could really know. Nobody really knew what they had to say or do, so it was weird. And then I just realized that I had to be a bit more energetic, and it went better, and it was faster. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, so energy is a very important point on the meeting, definitely.
yeah.
Okay, team, what about you? Or Etse?
Me, like as a member, my team meetings were like only department reports, but as a VP, I really took care of like bounding and like also exchanging ideas, giving them opportunity to not opportunity, like giving them space to like discuss about EPs, about what is GV, because sometimes they ask questions. Maybe it's stupid, but they're asking questions, so it's a good sign that they're not shy. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's kind of space that they can express themselves. That I always try to do it like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Team, are you there?
Yeah. I'm in a car right now, so it may cut sometimes. But yeah,
Okay.
personally, as a member, the team meeting was really short, like 1 hour maximum, and it was really mainly EP driven, not really about us, something like this. We never had any lead session, or it was like in LCM, but nothing else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So next question. Now, as a team leader, so more definitely, like more concretely as a VP, or even if you have started as an LCP to do some meetings already, what's the reason for you to make meetings? Like, what kind of outcome do you expect out of it?
Like oh sure.
I'm sorry, just let me go to a quieter place, and I'll answer in like 10 seconds.
No, you could. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, for me, I'm doing like especially weekly meetings, so they they're not so um, far, but for not to go. I cannot. Why I cannot explain? Can I say in French?
Sure.
Pour pas qu'il s'éloigne de l'équipe. That was the phrase that I was looking for. So, but like I did so many mistakes, so I couldn't make it. But my purpose was this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To always make them stick together, something like this.
Yes, Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
For me, there were several goals for our meeting. Like first, it was to clarify something. If they have questions, it was the moment to tell it because in the computer it's more difficult to explain. Then it was for bonding because when we have a meeting, we made meeting like in a restaurant or something like that. So it's a moment to share personal stuff. And then it was to relearn the things that they have forgotten. For example, in Diction Day, we learn what is iSegue. So sometimes in meetings, we make like lead session that like on essaye de refaire certaines sessions pour pas qu'ils oublient des choses d'ISEC, quoi, en gros, c'est ça.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tim? Okay, the person in the car died. Okay, so now I would like you to think as an LCP, and when I'm telling you, like, team standards, blah, blah, blah.
Can I just
Whoa. Yes, say, answer. Are you there? I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, listen.
Okay, this is super weird.
Yeah.
Okay, are you there, team? Can you answer? Or do I move on?
I'm trying.
Okay.
Okay, you hear me well now?
Yes. Super good.
Oh.
Yes, we hear you. So,
Okay,
answer the question.
give me like 2 minutes. I will add a Wi-Fi.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna continue, and then you can answer all the questions because I'm gonna ask another one. Okay. As an LCP, like put yourself on the mind of as an LC, like all the knowledge that you have until now, and mostly a lot of what we were saying during the LCP summit about the objective of you being LCP, of you behaving as a CEO right now. Wherever the team standard says and whatever it says that, oh, you need to do weekly meetings, all the teams need to do weekly meetings, whatever. What would be the objective for you? What would be the objective for you as an LCP to do
Team?
weekly meetings?
Okay.
Do you hear my question?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm going to ask you to repeat.
Okay, it's okay. So, having in mind the position that you are in right now as an LCP, as a CEO of a committee, of a tiny startup, let's say, what could be your objective of having to make weekly team meetings with your EP, or asking your VPs to have weekly team meetings with their teams?
Okay. I see. Do I go?
Yes, go.
Okay. So for my team, so the EB, I think weekly team meetings are super important in terms of synergy. So everybody is on board with the same results and the same news, basically. And just weirdly enough, we did that on Monday night. So since the beginning of the year, we started to have a habit of like Monday night is ASEC. And one time we even did it at the MC flat to have a Mexican dinner with Mariana. Sometimes it just kind of, like sometimes I don't know, like everybody hangs up and I'm just alone with Oceana to talk about like Naruto for 1 hour or something, and it just goes like a bouncing. And it's also really important because whenever anything goes wrong, you can count on other people, and it's just not, it ceases to be just something you have to do. And it's something you have to do because it's natural and because it's cool and because you get along well with your VPs and your team. So I think it's also the same with their teams, because members, especially because members are the only ones basically who do 100% of the job. Like for example, a member of OGX will do only OGX, whereas a VP, the TL, and everything won't do like 100% OGX. So it's so important to get in touch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
think
Yes.
it's
Very nice.
ridiculous.
Thank you. Amazing. What else? It's our team.
For me, it's basically to keep everybody at the same page. Like everybody has the same information, like always at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to create like a good team bonding. Like if you see each other each week, it become more like as Nala said, more an habit than an obligation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Cool. Amazing. It's it.
I just wanted to add something.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, like we already we said all the things that are important, but like when we give the informations, it's not the information for the VPs because yes, it's true. We have to have a global view for each department, like everybody is aware, but there is like the up and down information and the down and up information. So
Mm-hmm.
like there is information from the MC, I have to share it to my VPs. Like if there is a member from my team who has any information, the VP will tell me. Like it's good like that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
only for the committee. It's,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So all of you are like super true. That's are like most of the different objectives of the reason behind having this weekly team meetings. But I would like to emphasize one, which I would define it like as the main objective, and then all the other things that you guys been saying complement this main objective. Okay, which means you need to go through all of them, and that's accountability. Like remember that when we're talking as your position as LTP as being the CEO of your LT, your big objective is to move the organization forward, to move your LT forward, to make it grow, and that means at the end of the day a lot of work for everyone. But all that work or all those plans or all those ideas, if they are not being implemented, if they are not being executed, they don't mean anything. It's just like random talk, let's say. And doesn't matter how good intentions you as an LCP or your member or your VP or whoever has at the beginning, at some point, because life and because the motivation and because of whatever, the performance goes down. And you need to feel these meetings are short-term checkups to make sure that everyone is on track, that everyone has the information that they need to ensure that they have the education that they need also, plus the emotional support, which is all these bondings that you were saying, in order to perform, in order to the tasks that are needed in each department in order to move them that your LT forward. And we're talking about that on the session of 40X during the summit and in the LTP Academy, that unless you put yourself and the others accountable between each other, your goal, your ISA goal, your approvals goal, your whatever goal that you have inside the LC is gonna get lost in the middle of all the million of things at the end of the day you have to do. So you need to really define what are the things that you're gonna be pushing week by week. How are you gonna be measuring them? And how are you making sure every Monday, if it's every Monday, when you have the meetings, that you're moving a little bit forward in that direction for you to ensure that you're achieving that goal. How weekly meetings, as we've been saying, ideally, same day, same time, same place. Well, that depends. You can be trying like one restaurant every day. That's cool. But it's at least the same day. I would highly suggest that, because that gives the meaning, like the habitude to everyone to say, okay, I know that Mondays from 6 to 7 I have EBM and or team meeting, and I cannot do anything else. So I have that for the rest of my term. And it's very important also to be following the same agenda. Why? Because it's very uncomfortable when you arrive to a meeting. You have no idea what you're going to be talking about. You have no idea if you have to prepare something. You have no idea what you're going to be asked for. But if you keep the same agenda, day after day, and you send it in advance, and some tips and tricks that I'm gonna share later. You ensure that your members or your VPs keep their routine. They know what they're being asked for, so they can prepare themselves, and you're gonna reinforce this accountability. Because, for example, if you're checking the approval that you will be having during the week every Monday, they know that they need to strive for that, like your VP operations. But if you check one Monday, but until 3 weeks later you don't check again, you're not gonna be that worried because you may not ask them, you know, so they won't have to justify themselves or why they haven't performed. The ideal or the minimum agenda that every single meeting, doesn't matter the department, needs to go. It's based on the accountability, based on the last week commitments or last week tasks. You can call them as you want. Saying, okay, this person had to do these 3 tasks for today, and these other 3, and so on and so on, and check what happened with each commitment, if it's done, not done, and what was the outcome of it. To begin with, then review the scoreboard, meaning that's it, like how many approvals we're supposed to be having this week, how many applicants, how many percentage of transition should we have by now, what are the things that happen to get there, what are the bad things that happen in order not to get there, and what are the things that we need in order to achieve the goals of next Monday or the goals of next week. And with that last question, you can create the commitments, the plan of what are the activities that each one of the persons of the EB, including you, need to do during that moment until the next EBM, in order to ensure that that scoreboard is moving on. So you will be getting every week closer and closer to your big goals. Okay, is it clear?
Yep.
Questions?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, amazing. So I want to play you this tiny video. Let me know if you hear it, because I have never recorded over a video. So let me know. Oh, shit. What happened here? There we go. Requirements from the team, and then how to convert your vision into results. And now we're going to talk about practical touch points that you, as a person that manages other people, for sure has it on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, which are team meetings and one-on-ones. So starting with your team meetings, they are the most important touch points that you have inside your team.
Personally, I don't understand anything, like, really.
Same. Sorry. I hear, but I don't understand what he says.
Yeah, I don't understand anything. It's really too low.
Okay. Okay, cool. So it's okay. I will send you the video later. Okay, what it
Just
says.
send the link on the WhatsApp or something like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to emphasize, like it's what I was saying now at the beginning, which you need to start with the accountability of the last week commitments. You need to review the scoreboard and see what are the problems of why, or the successes of why you're at the point that you are according to where you should be, and what's going to be the plan of next week. Okay. Later exists the minimum, and there's the other extra tips of what are the things that you can do during the meeting also. Like, for example, education, like use that space that you are together in order to educate your VPs in whatever happens at that moment on the LT or on the timeline. Or if not, to do a lead session or to use that time to ensure the development of your VPs, because as we were saying, it's your responsibility now. It's very important, of course, to start with a check-in. You're not we're not robots. Your VPs are not robots. So a bit debriefing or a bit like checking in to see how things are being going, as well as not leaving the meeting without having clear next steps of what are the things that each one of the persons should be doing before the next meeting, before 7 days from that day. Things are always like super nice to ask when you're having meetings is punctuality, definitely, because if you don't keep the punctuality, you're not being respected towards the time of the other people in the meeting, and that can create problems. But I will send you the video with the further description of all the things. Okay, why I don't move now? Okay. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you an example, okay, of an EVM, an agenda on EVM that I had when it was LTP. Okay, I don't know who is it, but someone has the mic open. Can you mute? Because it's like a lot. Thank you. So I'm gonna show you the agenda. Okay, so the structure is before the EVM, all of my VPs need to send me reports about the last week commitments. So we could advance a bit more in that report side. So we did that actually before every meeting. But if not, the agenda that we followed, we always use the same template. For example, we're reminding all the time what was the motto, what was the other purpose for us. And well, this was our name. Then all single time we started with like explaining them the agenda, which is like the first of all the master tracker, which is like the scoreboard, the operations. Then what's a very big topic that we had on that moment, hot topics if needed, that were decided by them, but each one of the VPs, and then the next week commitments. So for example, here we started with the master tracker. Here we had our goals to have them like always like super visual, and here they had the link directly to this to the planning that we had in that moment. Okay, so what we used to do is like in OGB, for example, we had each stage of the customer flow and each day of the week of the different like of the different weeks of each Monday. So we had our plan. So my role as an LCP was just to check and to ask my VP OGB, like, okay, what the fuck? We were supposed to have this week 10 applicants. We have one. What's going on? What happened in order like not to get that? And what are you gonna ensure? What are you gonna do during this next week to ensure that you're gonna have in the next meeting these 9 applicants that you have to have plus the 9 that we didn't have this week? That's the first thing. Second thing, accepted. We were supposed to have 5 accepted. Why there's 0? And what are you gonna do about it? What's the problem and how can I support you? And the same with approvals. We're supposed to have 5 approvals. We had 0 approvals during this week. What's the problem? Why this accepted is not being converted, for example? And how can I support you? What's the extra activities that we're gonna do? And the same for IGT. Just for example, in this moment here, I was very angry because the VP didn't update the tool. And I put it like that and say, hey, what the fuck, update it now because it's not good. So that would be the first thing. And here I was trying to make a point about the realized, I think, or something like that. I don't know, I just copy paste to make a point. Then the hot topic of the moment, or like the big issue that we were discussing, was reload. To see how many members we could bring. So we open discussion, we see, okay, expectation settings, transportation, all the things that we wanted to handle, because it was going to be a difficult conference for us because we had a lot of members going. 3 of my EV members were FASIs and we had 1 member as an Aussie. So we was not going to be that many people to handle all the members that was going to be around. So to have expectations and action plan in order to ensure the right behavior and the right expectations for everyone. So all the EV was on the same point over here. And then they have topics. In this case, it got stuck. My computer collapsed. No. What's going on? Okay. Sorry for this.
It's okay. Okay, cool.
And then hot topic. So as we saw, it was the date. It was February, so we're having like some realizations in that moment. So I was worried in LTP about the completes that we may or we may not have. So I was introducing. I wanted really to make sure that my VPOGX was tracking the realizations and was tracking the standards. So I took this tracking tool and I put it here for her, and say, okay, start telling me like EP by EP, which each person, when are they gonna have the realizations, where, and when each one of all these standards are gonna be fulfilled. And from now on, I expect an update in every EPM about this, because I really wanted to push completes on all the single EPs that were going to be realized during the winter peak, like at the end of the winter peak. So I made this. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I have to leave now.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Don't worry.
bisous.
Bisous.
Bye.
Thank you.
Salut.
So I was really like introducing this not only to my VP CXY or GX, but to all the EB, because I really wanted to make sure that it was a synergy that needed to happen between everyone, because we needed all to support her in order to make sure that we achieve this completed. And then we had these hot topics that each one of the departments of the VPs need to write me before in order to open them and to discuss to the whole team, so we could have work through them together. Like in ICX, it's ICX. Well, it's an onboarding of the new members. We had a meeting with an association, and she had problems with team members that she wanted to discuss, things in finance and stuff in ICX, like in CXY and TM and so on. And then from my side, what I put is like, okay, I really want you to start having like accountability in teams and to educate. We started to have team leaders, so to educate the team leaders. And again, I explained them, but I let them hear the links already for different articles and different tools that they want them to use. And then at the end, each for the weekly commitments. So I don't know if you can see, but the link is over here, you see? And then each one of them have all the things that each one, not each one of them individually, but things that were going to happen in their department, okay? And then before the meeting, they need to put like yes or no, so I can see if they are doing it or not, to have it like super clear. And I expected them for real that before the next meeting, like all these things should happen. If not, if for more than 2 weeks they didn't do all the things they say, because the things like all these things, they were their own, saying that they would make them. It wasn't me. And then, yes, okay. And then, well, we've closed, but in order to make things even easier for them, okay, it collapsed again. But here's another slide with all the links of all the trackers that we were using inside the LC, so they always had easy access to them. So that's, for example, a draft of an EPM that you can use, how to cover a lot of topics. This normally took us around 1 hour and a half, approx. Plus, then before this, we did a bit of like checking in, like how was the week, and sometimes later we went to have like or a drink or a dinner or something. Is it clear? Questions? Okay. So more and early to finished, I wanted just to share like some tips and tricks with you, which is have in mind the regularity of the meeting. So have it weekly and ensure that your VPs have weekly team meetings also. Make it short, not more than 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, because if not, like it's going to be very hard to gather all your EB together every week for more than 1 hour and a half and then pretend them to keep working on their stuff. Plus, it's not going to be a useful meeting anyway. Use always a scoreboard, like the plan versus achieved, or whatever processes you're running in that moment. If something had went good, celebrate it, like recognize it. If there's any learning from any mistake, make everyone aware of it, so everyone learns from one person's mistake. Set the whirlwind aside. That means during the meeting, the world can be burning down, but during the meeting, you are on the meeting and only discussing the things that were supposed to be discussed. Like, for example, during my EBMs, I didn't allow to have phones unless someone was waiting for an emergency call or something like that. We had notebooks or maybe computers, but nothing else, because it was going to be short, but it had to be efficient. Always don't get stuck on obstacles. Have a solution-oriented mindset and see if there is a problem, how you all together as an EB, as a team, you can solve it in order to move forward. And what I was saying, also never let the people make and fail to keep the same commitments for more than 2 weeks in a row. Like if someone says that they're going to do some things, but after 2 weeks they haven't done it, and they keep saying that they're going to do, don't like make them to have a change, book a one-to-one with that person and see what's the problem, what's going on, why they're not doing what they say they would do. Then later, something you have to have in mind, because it's like can be a bit overwhelming of all the things that you have to have in mind and all the outcomes that you expect from the meeting. But don't forget that the best way is like to make the members want to go to the meeting. Don't force them. Of course, you have to set expectations. They need to know that you're gonna have a weekly EBM, but make them fun. Like you can use it, and I was saying, for the bonding, for the communication, to have learnings, to have lead spaces. Make them interesting, not only reporting all the time, because if not, they're like super boring. And during hard times, they're not gonna go, or it's gonna be very hard for you to make them go. So have like make them very very into want to go, and as feedback all the time from them in order like to make them more efficient and more fun every single time. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. So then the last thing, just a very brief routine that you can do to ensure that you're having like amazing EBMs, amazing weekly team meetings every single time. The first thing, like 3 different stages. You have the pre-meeting moment, meeting, and post-meeting. That means that you cannot arrive to the EBM and say like, hey, EBM, what's up? What have you done? Like the first thing that you have to do is think on the current situation of the LC and the operational timeline. What are the needs of your VPs? Like what's the need of the LC and what the support that your VPs will be needing for that? And based on that, you create the agenda, you adjust the agenda or the session or the topic that you would be discussing more in depth during the session, and then share the agenda with your VPs or with the persons that are attending, and ask them to prepare the data if needed. Like for example, just to make the check on the tracker on the where they see if they have done the commitments or not, or to update the tracker of the operations or whatever thing that they may have to do. Always in advance, and always make it a routine, so they know this agenda will be coming and like this data preparation it will be coming. Then during the meeting, do a check-in about, hey, what's how was the week, for example. Review always the last week commitments, check the scoreboard, discuss hot topics. Like here's a very nice way of letting them participate in the meeting and say what concerns them and what are the things that they would like to discuss with all the EB regarding their departments or regarding things that they are concerned on the LC. Finish with the next week commitments, and then in case it's not always the same, don't leave the meeting without having the date and the place of the next week meeting. Later for the post meeting, share the PPT or the output of the meeting, and follow up during the week to see if they need support on whatever commitments they have said they would do. Okay? For example, the kind of meeting that you should be having right now as an LCP elect, having in mind that we are in June, having in mind that we're doing some approvals, that we are starting realization speak, that we're in transition, that we're in planning, and so on and so on. I will do an example of what I would do, okay, of an imaginary LC. For example, what's the current situation of the LC and the operational timeline? We are on transition. We have to start checking the change standards to aim for completes, and something that you need to do is planning. So how to create the agenda and the sessions. One thing that I will, a session that I will emphasize, like how to track change standards, for example, and then we'll share the agenda. Cool. Which would be like filter replaying tool with the data of the approvals and so on. Then during the meeting, checking in. For example, 3 things that you're grateful for. So you start the meeting in a good mood. Review the last week commitments based on done, not done, and what had happened. What was the outcome of each one of the commitments? Check the scoreboard regarding planners achieved in applications accepted, approved realizations, and if you're not 100% achieved, what's the plan to catch up? And also another scoreboard that you have to be dealing with right now is the transition scoreboard, the dashboard, to ensure that both you and all your VPs are up to date And if not, what's the plan to catch up to ensure that everyone is that's it, up to date? Hot topics, as we were saying over here, how to track change the standards, a tracking system, and an action plan that all of you should be taking to ensure they complete by August and September. But also checking how is the planning preparation going and the planning dates if you haven't fixed one yet. Next week commitments, ensure the clarity for each VP in a tracking tool, the actions that they will do during the next week regarding all these things that you have been discussing. Okay, for this is very cool that each will be coming from each one of them to say, okay, based on everything that I learned during the meeting, I will have to do this, and this, and you share with the rest of the people. And then to finalize, go out for a drink, have dinner together, stay together for a while, do something together to reinforce this bonding that Nala was saying, for example, because it's very, very important. Then, in the post meeting, something that you can do is to have a common folder with all the outputs of the EVMs. If you do PPTs, you can not automatically, but just right before closing the meeting, convert the PPT to a PDF or just keep it like that and save it on the common folder with the date. So always gonna be there, and if they need, they can check it later. And then the follow up during the next week. Regarding transition, for example, is like if you do the task of wherever for the transition for today, you will be marketing. Or like, do you need help for your task for the pre-planning, for example? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have questions? Because that's questions time.
No, I think it's good.
Yes, amazing.
You will share the PowerPoint in the transition.
The PowerPoint, I can share it too. What I'm sharing definitely is the wait, how to stop here? Is the whole video is recorded, and I will put this so you can check it again. But I can add the PPT also, of course,
Okay.
with the video that you couldn't watch. Cool.
Thank you.
Amazing. So to finish, thank you so much for being there. I don't know, like as
Thank you.
Pauline at the right later had like any inputs, as you said that you were doing an EVM yesterday. You can share a bit your experience, or I don't know.
It was not a real EVM, like it was for the sauna. So I made a meeting to do it like together because I already made a sauna, but the new VP is not. So it was a bit weird because we were all lost in the question because I was used to some question and now it was new and my new VP she was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Okay, I will tell you what to do." And we have all to search the documents to fill the sauna. So it was really a laughing moment, but it was not a real EPM because there is no scoreboard, etc. It was a moment for the sauna, the preparation meeting.
That's very cool. For example, that would be the perfect like hot topic of like, hey, we need to do the sauna for the first time. Let's meet all together and let's do it together in order to make sure that we don't screw up and that we don't like freak out alone in our houses, for example. It's you were gonna say.
Yes, I actually like did my third EBM with the new ones. So I created something. I think it's in the team standards, but like I wasn't knowing. So do you hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what I did, like uh, at the end of every like meeting, we started to give us feedback. So, for example, there were a new VP PM. She wasn't so responsive to the group, so I said like in the feedback way, you are not that responsive, and I think it will be great. And the whole week she was so responsive. She was like the one who always answering actually. So it really works, and it actually gives us a space that like now they're all close. I hope it will stay like this. I'm so happy for now. But yeah, like the feedback thing, it really worked. And then what we did, we are kind of like discussing so much about recruitment, what can we do in the LCMs, and I'm always talking about like we did a little game the one who is the most in the transition, and the one who is really really low in the transition, he needs to give €1 to the one who did the most. So it a little bit works in finance and OGT. They're in a huge fight, for example. Yeah, so like this. Thanks.
That's super nice. That's a perfect example of all the things that you can go around without losing, without this focusing of what's the main objective of accountability, na 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 na, but like making it fun, like make competition, of course, like that's amazing. That's amazing. I think that's a very good
For me,
idea.
it was very much.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I don't know if you have something else to say or something else that you would like to share.
No, good for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank
thank you so
you.
much, girls. I'm gonna post the PPT and the video now when it's finished uploading. And one of the tasks related to this webinar, to this topic, is actually to create a new agenda and to do your next EBM in case you've been doing it. And if not, like to do the first ones and to share it with everyone else so we can see how much we're learning with transition.
In fact,
Okay.
I already scheduled my first EBM. It's like the 2 weeks in 2 weeks.
Amazing. So let
Yeah.
us know how it goes.
I have 2 weeks to reflection, etc. Actually.
That's perfect. So think about that. Of course, if you need any help or something, like hello. But yeah, good luck and let us know how it goes at the end.
Oh, hey, sorry. Like, I know that we will finish. It's just where can I find the datas of each department, because I don't have concrete data.
Okay, wait 1 minute. I'm gonna stop broadcasting because that's out of the topic.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, goodbye, public of YouTube. Bye bye.